All right. So before I introduce today's podcast guest, I just want to share what inspired this beautiful conversation we're about to have. So for years, I have worked with women to help heal parts of themselves that they were told to suppress, starting off with the inner child who learned how to abandon herself to feel loved, the teenager who internalized the shame, the silence, and kind of the roller coaster of emotions that we go as we're developing or through these stages. And now the adult who's leading a life that still carries a little bit of that pain of that little girl that wasn't seen. So, my guest today is Anna Gordillo. I hope I got that
Yeah.
from the Magic Box. And I am so excited to introduce her and the work she's doing because she is remarkable in her journey and in her pathway. And lately, I've just felt this pull to really help women repair their identity, but go even deeper into them. So, the commonality between Anna and I is we both look at stopping the cycles before they take root. And honestly, I think that I was praying for her and just having this counterpart that understood the work of really diving into the heart and the mind of the child. So, with that being said, Miss Anna Cristina Gordillo, welcome to my show, Arise
Mhm.
with Anita podcast. And she is just amazing. She's the founder of the Magic Toolbox, which is a transformational emotional toolkit that gives kids ages 7 and under the very language and awareness and the safety that most of us never received as children. So welcome, and I'm so excited to have you here.
Oh, thank you so much, Anita. It is my pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me to your podcast. Thank you.
And as a note, the main reason I'm so excited about this conversation is you're not just changing lives, you're actually protecting the future of our kids and this next generation. And I think that honestly is something that we need to sit with for a moment because can you imagine if you are the listener here having the tools and the teachings to have been better if you were at your developmental stages? So, welcome
Absolutely.
to the show.
Thank you.
And so, I'm going to start asking you the questions, but is there anything you want us to gear up with as an introduction to you that I maybe not have touched on?
No, I think we're pretty good. Basically, I'm the founder of the Magic Box for Children. This is a project that I started because I fully connect with that. I one day I asked myself, I realized that learning these tools, personal development, and starting to know myself, connecting with myself, it took me over 20 years to get to that point. And I asked my friends, at one of the seminars, how long did it take you? And they said, 30, 40, 50, even 50. And then I'm like, why do we have to wait for this? This is something that we should have. From my perspective, this is something that we should learn when we are children. And yeah, pretty much. Thank you.
Absolutely. So, Anna, can you take us back to your childhood? And what experiences or challenges did you face later that inspired you to create the Magic Box for Children?
Thank you. Okay, so going back to my childhood, I used to be a very shy girl, very quiet, very shy. I remember when I was at school, used to be the girl that was sitting, eating her lunch, not talking to much people, not raising her hand, scared of showing myself, not having too many friends. It was hard for me to open up with people, and the more I started growing up, it became even harder, when you start meeting friends, when you go to high school, when you go to college, and then you start having all these conversations and connecting with people. It was hard for me. And what inspired me to create the Magic Box is actually that, because at some point in my life, I felt that I was not enough, and this all comes from childhood. And I didn't know that I felt like that's what inspired me, because I didn't know that I felt that I was not enough. I was just having the feeling, and I was acting on a way that I was not enough. And that's what I was attracting to my life. That's what I was manifesting in my life. And basically, one day I made a decision to change my life. And that's the moment that I started working on myself, got into the journey of personal development.
So we touched on this a little bit, but what was a pivotal moment or realization that led you to develop the magic box? So how would you say your personal experiences? I know you just touched on it was your personal development journey that really inspired it, but what I'm looking for here is and I feel like I'm cheating because I know Anna pretty well at this point, and I am so completely endured with her and just the overall heart and the brightness that shines out of this beautiful woman. But I want you to touch on what was that moment for you that behind the scenes of you're already like, I've started to heal, but how can I get this to the younger hands so that I can really start making an impact on this next generation?
I think I have one moment. We all have that moment. And that moment was, so long story short, I was born and raised in Mexico. Then I ended up moving to the States. And that was my first Christmas that my parents came to visit me. So they came, we spent Thanksgiving, Christmas, all the holidays. It was beautiful. And then we got to the point that they have to go back home. And it was my turn to take them to the airport. When I was driving to the airport, I felt that something, this inner sensation that I couldn't explain, but I didn't want to cry because I knew if I cried, then my mom was going to cry. My dad might probably cry. And I hold it. When I came home, I opened the door and this is the thing. The apartment felt empty, but it was not the apartment. It was myself. I felt empty. There was no Christmas tree. There was no more Christmas decoration. There was no mom, no dad. It was just me. So in that moment, I put everything outside and I said, oh, the apartment feels empty, but it was not the apartment. And then I started to feel a lot of feelings, like a mix of feelings inside myself that I couldn't even express because I couldn't even explain how I felt. I couldn't even understand myself. So that's the moment when I felt like a child. I realized, what, I have all these feelings and I have all these sensations in my body that I can't explain. I can't even ask for help. I was in a situation that my inner child came, you know? I went back to my childhood and I reflected so much after 10 years of working with children. I literally felt as a child in that moment when I couldn't express, I couldn't understand. I just had the feelings, and that was a breakthrough I had.
Beautiful. So was there a moment in adulthood where you were looking at kind of the school system as a whole and what the kids are being taught? Because you did mention just now that you were a teacher, you were working with children already, and kind of the cycles of what families are repeating, and just kind of felt maybe a rage or anger at what is being taught in the schools and the lack of information that's there. And what was kind of your breaking point that became your fuel?
Yes, I realize, at the school we go and we learn different things, but there is one thing that from my perspective is missing is emotional intelligence and personal development that they should be learned when we are children. Why? Because we learn the values from our family. We have the foundation of our life coming from our house, that it's a combination from the education at the school. And also I realized that all the beliefs that the parents have, that's what the children learn you know so if mom believes that money doesn't grow on trees, guess what the child is going to learn? And that's what the child is going to carry and keep for the rest of their life, unless they choose to break the cycle and rewrite the story and create new beliefs. So I saw everything, talking with the parents, getting to know the parents. I started, to getting familiar with this. And I literally saw the moment, when how the wounds are made. Literally, I witnessed those moments and I said, I want to break this because I don't want these children to carry all these things. And yes, parents, moms, dads, they do the best they can with the resources that they have. But at some point, children might understand what mom or dad are doing in a different way because they are learning to understand. They are learning life. They see life in a different way as we see life as adults.
Beautiful. And I think there's something so profound you just said in that basically the beliefs that we have as adults are passed on to our children if we're not careful. And it just reminds me of a saying that basically your kids are not just watching you. They're not, your actions and your beliefs are caught, they're not taught. Because more than what you're saying, they actually really catch how you are actually operating in the world. And what if it kind of brings us to the point if a parent tells your kid, hey, you can do anything in your life, whether that's a dream job or whatever, becoming an astronaut. And at the same time, that parent is not living their dreams. The kid is sitting there going, if you're telling me this is true,
Yes.
so why aren't you?
Right. Because they don't learn what the parents want them to learn. Kids learn what the parents are, or the teachers are, or the caregivers are. That's what they learn. They reflect on the person they are, mirror us. They reflect on our actions or beliefs or system. That's how they learn.
Yes, 100%. So I just want to bring up you have this amazing podcast called Speaking in the Voice of Children, which is a unique approach. How did you come up with the concept and what impact are you seeing on having both the children, but also having the adults understand their children?
Thank you. That question goes straight to my heart because I connect so much with this in a way that one day I was writing down my purpose, my mission, and then I asked myself, what is the reason that I want to do this? What exactly do I want to do? And then I wrote down, I want to speak in the voice of children. And then I said, this is going to be the name of my podcast. I'm going to put my voice out there for people and I'm going to speak for the children. I'm going to speak in the voice of the children for those who can't speak yet, for those who are growing, for those who are developing their language and everything. I'm going to speak and I'm actually speaking in their voice and connecting the voice of their parents' inner child and their children so they can connect and understand each other. I'm breaking this cycle. That's the mission.
I got chills. I just have to share that. So if you guys can't tell, this is a very real and raw conversation. And while I love and know Anna personally, I'm really bringing in her purpose and her mission just because we connected so much with heart, with what it is she's doing. I think that we need more leaders who are getting to the root of our children and really impacting them because if we look at the generation ahead, that is where our future really lies. And for me, I know growing up, and I'm sure it's similar for you, Anna, looking at the school system, I used to be very confused because there was a lot of skills that I found to be, quite frankly, a waste of time to learn. However, I was never taught basics like emotional regulation. I was never taught until I pursued this information outside how to navigate finances. I was not taught how to deal with the basics of how a household is ran. And these are all aspects of kind of the education system that I wish were a part of it because reality is our education system has turned into almost an indoctrination of sort. I'm sure you would agree. And it's sad to see because children are so vulnerable and so pure. And when we're lacking in giving them tools, we are not guiding them to be the best versions of themselves moving forward. And that's when you see the influx of the epidemics with drug abuse and alcohol use and whatnot. It is because we are not teaching the actual strategic tools that will help navigate emotional turmoils as they are coming up So people start becoming reliant on other substances to kind of make themselves feel better. And so one of my dear friends' missions is to break generational cycles of emotional suppression. So can you share a tidbit of how you facilitate this within the Magic Box? And is it transformation across families or is it just the child itself?
No, it's a whole work. It's a work for everyone, starting with the parents, especially the moms, and whoever wants to heal and reconnect with their inner child. Because I have this phrase that I came up with for my personal experiences, and is it all starts with love and starts with you. Whatever you want to do, whatever you want to transform, starts with you. First, start with yourself, because we cannot give what we don't have. You know, we can give presents to our children if we are not present to ourselves first. So basically, I start with healing your inner child, reconnecting with yourself, understanding your story, and then rewriting the story, because all the belief system that you carry from your childhood, now we understand and we find what powerful lessons you got from your childhood. And then those powerful lessons now you can share with your children. Once you understand your, I will call it your past, your story, once you connect with your inner child, now you can start communicating with your children from another place. Now you can start connecting with your children from your inner child. And that's another level of connection. It's not just it's not just staying with your children. It's real connection, real communication when you connect from that place, and then you share all these tools with your children, and this is literally transformation.
I love this so freaking much. And I honestly wish we had this back in the 90s when I was growing up, honestly.
Me too. Me too. This is everything I wish I had when I was a child. That's why I'm sharing this, because I wish I had all these tools when I was a child, but at the same time, I'm so thankful that I didn't have those tools, because I was able to see where the missing part is. Now I came up with the magic box, and that's why I call it the magic box. It's the tool of box. Is the box of tools for you and your children.
Beautiful. So, how does the Magic Box equip their parents? And I know that you're interested in bringing educators on board to guide children on their personal development journeys.
Yes. So basically, I start with I have program 101 coaching, and one of the goals is bringing the magic box to the schools so we can start breaking the cycle in the school system. And sometimes people don't really understand what the magic box is, or what is exactly that I've been doing. And this goes beyond just emotional intelligence. This is more, this is a combination of education, healing generational trauma, emotional intelligence, neurolinguistic programming. It's a mix of everything I've been learning, my experience, and it's all made with love. It's a mix of everything packed in a magic box.
It's beautiful. And I do want to touch on the beauty of what Anna is doing with the Magic Box because I know as she was stepping into speaking about tools, it sounds like, okay, this is great for adults. However, with her past experience working with children, and that is where her heart lies, she has been able to take these tools and really translate them in a way that feels safe and easy to understand for a child. And I think that that alone, I just want to acknowledge you for a moment because that alone helps the child feel seen. It helps them start to learn. And eventually, as they age, you can teach them kind of the more behind the whys of the tool. But taking it and being able to make it so simple that a child can understand and feel safe using it is incredible.
Thank you. It's just
All right. So you already kind of started touching on it, but I want to ask what obstacles have you encountered in promoting this emotional intelligence in early childhood? And how are you overcoming them? And kind of what is the vision you are telling those who are trying to or not understanding the vision?
More than sharing emotional intelligence, as I said, is basically the confusion of people that is this for the children? Is this for me? And what I've seen in these years is that I'm not going to generalize, but some parents, if there's something going on with them or their children, and this is and in this case I will generalize, like it's always easier for everyone, like if we see a problem or a situation going on in our life, to see it from the outside, like to put ourselves in a situation that there is nothing going on. So I've been seeing parents sending their children to therapy, sending their children to soccer, sending their children to tons of activities, when the root of the situation, it's something else. And that's why the magic box, it covers, the mom, the dad aspect, the inner child work, and the children. It's a combination of both, where we mix their knowledge, we mix their healing to empower their children.
That's so beautiful. So if you yourself had actually been handed the magic box, what would she have pulled out first, and what part of you would you have let her finally see?
Oh, I love that question. And my number one, the first tool that I would have take, the first tool is connecting with myself. Listen to yourself. Listen to your intuition. Believe in yourself. For me, that would have changed my life. And that would have been the first tool, and that's one of the first tools actually that I share with the children. And at the same time, working with the parents and sharing the tools with the kids. And another one that I would like to mention here, it's always remember who you are and why you're here. Because when you have this foundation as a child, just imagine how a child will feel if they are raised in a family that they believe in themselves, they listen to themselves, and they also believe in who they are and always remember who they are, the power that they have, and why they are here. I think that's transformation.
Absolutely. And I just, again, I want to commend you because there is so much power in what you just said. And those fundamentals of believing themselves and just having that reminder. I think it can be so easy, even as a child, to come in and be like, okay, so why am I here in this big, great world? What am I supposed to leave behind? And I think there's a beauty when you that and realize that it's your essence you're meant to bring forth.
Yes.
So, looking ahead, what are your aspirations for the magic box and its role for the future generations in shaping
Oh,
them?
well, I started the Magic Box in English because we're in the States. And what I'm working on right now, it's taking the Magic Box to Mexico since I was born and raised in Mexico. So I'm doing it in Spanish and not just Mexico and the States. My goal is taking this whole movement, because I call it movement. It's not just a coaching program, it's not just a teaching, it's not just emotional intelligence, it's a whole movement, and I want to take it globally. I want to take it to schools. I want to take it to any person that can benefit from the magic box, whether for themselves to heal and reconnect with their inner child or their children. And even if they don't have children, if you want to heal yourself, that's another reason why I created the magic box. I don't have children. For those of you who don't know me yet, I don't have children. And I thought it was at some point in my life, I thought about, after doing a lot of healing and self development, I said, if I have children, are they going to carry my wounds? I said, I don't want to have kids. I don't want to have kids then. And then I got to the point that I felt that I didn't want to have children. And then I say, there is no way that we can avoid the wounds, but we can give the children the tools because at the end of the day, they also learn through experiences like your experience as a child, my experience as a child. So what if we mix those experiences with the tools and the power when they are children? And now I changed my mind. Now I have kids. Maybe one day. But now I'm not scared. Like if I have kids at some point, I'm not scared of giving my children, my future generations, the wounds, because here's a tool to break the cycle.
I love that you said that because I myself have had the same exact fears when it came to raising the next generation. And I wouldn't say I've outright not wanted to have kids. I think it was more so not wanting to have kids before I found myself already learning the healing tools. So for me, I also came to a realization no matter what we do, we are likely to still traumatize our children. Doesn't matter how good of a parent you are. It doesn't matter if you're Tony Robbins. You will probably do something that will create some sort of cycle for your child to break. But the beauty in this is, A, you're not totally screwed, but there are tools and techniques that can help you help them in the navigation of those. So my next point for you, because we've touched on this so much, is how did you find yourself really healing your inner child? What did that look like for you?
Mm. It was a journey, to be honest. It's been a couple of years working on the healing, and I know there is more. I just feel it in my heart and my soul. And I feel like the more that I connect with myself, the more that I like my soul, like this inner connection with yourself, with your soul. The more that you understand your story, you rewrite the story, the more that you're able to connect with the outside, with your family, with your friends, with your children, with your loved ones, with nature, with the rain, with the sun, with everything. The more present you are, I feel like the more also the more you heal, because you get to enjoy the magic of being present in this life as a human being. And it's been a journey, going back to the question. It's been a journey, and I've been using a lot of tools, and a lot of workshops, coaching, plant medicine, so many things, and sharing those tools and everything that I've been learning with the people and the children.
Beautiful. Hopefully not the plant medicine. I'm just
No.
joking. I'm just joking. I'm totally just
For sure not.
yes. As you
I
guys
don't
can tell.
facilitate that, by the way. I don't do that. I
As
guide
you guys
patient's journey. That's not my thing.
As you guys can tell, I'm giving Anna a little bit of a joke. Just because her and I connect on this deep inner healing work that we've done. And I wanted to lighten the mood a little bit because as we're talking about healing your inner child and healing these parts of us that sometimes don't want to be acknowledged, I think that there's a heaviness that weighs with it. But on the flip side of that heaviness, and I'm sure Anna could confirm, there is such a beauty, and the life that you actually want is on the flip end of what you're willing to release.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
And so if your work disappears tomorrow, and I really hope it doesn't, what is one sentence that you pray every child would experience it, who experienced it, would remember forever?
Hmm. There are so many. Do I really have to choose one?
Yes.
Ah, again, believe in yourself. Believe in yourself and always remember who you are and why you're here, because I believe every single one of us as a human beings, we all have a soul, and every soul has a purpose, and every soul has a mission. And sometimes it can take years for this soul living in the human experience um, to get to that point, to understand. And this is exactly what I mean when the more you connect with yourself, the more you connect with your soul, with other people, the more you can transmit this knowledge, these feelings, and everything. So I will say, believe in yourself, remember who you are and why you're here.
I love that. Again, my final question for you, and it is, what is one quick way that you find yourself connecting with your inner child? Is there something you do that kind of brings in that lightheartedness? For me, it's sometimes I will sit there and still color. So what's an
Mm,
example for you?
yes. I do have a few tools for that. And one of the one that I do every day is actually every morning. I do meditation. Sometimes I go, every meditation has a purpose. It's either visualize what I want, what I feel, or visualize things that I experienced in my past. And it can be as a child or it can be maybe 2 years ago, but I felt that fulfill my soul. And whatever activity that you do that connects yourself with your soul and fulfill your heart and your soul, that it's something that is going to take you to your childhood, to your pure essence.
Beautiful. Anna, I just want to thank you for your time again. And I will be leaving in the show notes how people can connect with you. But I want to thank you again for your time and the work you are doing with our future generations, because I think the work you do is immensely powerful. And there's a reason you and I connected so deeply between the work that we do. And I'm just honored to know you and honored to watch you on your journey building this out. And it's incredible to be a part of the movement ever so slightly.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here. I honor your transformation, your journey, and the work that you're doing. And it is my pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. So, guys, if you like the episode, please feel free to comment down below what your biggest takeaways are. And I will see you on the next one.